Welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. If you like what we do, you can support us by sharing the podcast with your friends and family. Spread the word, people, spread the word. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 318 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. Millions of Ukrainians celebrate Orthodox Christmas. The Orthodox Church of Ukraine held a Christmas service in the main cathedral of the Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra monastery in Kyiv for the first time in history, reports BBC News Ukraine. Thousands of people attended the service. Not everyone managed to get inside the cathedral, for others there were TV screens outside despite -8 degrees Celsius. The Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra is one of the oldest and most important Orthodox monasteries in Ukraine, founded in 1051. Officially, it belongs to the state, but for many years large parts of the complex were used by the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate, which is a part of the Russian Church. In 2023, the cathedral was returned to the state and the Orthodox Church of Ukraine received permission to use it for Christmas. Other parts of the monastery are still used by the Russian Church, as their permissions have not yet expired. Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church Kirill said during the Christmas service that Ukrainians and Russians are one nation and the Church is doing everything to prevent them from becoming enemies, reports Channel 24. He said that there is a political division between the two. Kirill added that Ukraine's current vector of political and historical development, which does not coincide with the vector of Russia's development, is the problem. President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his evening video address that he was glad today to see how many people attended the service in the Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra, in that holy place which is one of the origins of the Ukrainian cultural tradition. Zelensky believes that it's very important that a sincere prayer for Ukraine was today and will continue to be heard in the Lavra, and that no one will make Ukrainians strangers in the Lavra. Ukrainian independence must be strong in all its elements, stressed the president. The president of Ukraine informed that despite the announced ceasefire from the Russian side, they continued to attack Bakhmut and other Ukrainian positions. The world once again able to see today how false any words of any level that sound from Moscow are, said Zelensky. He stressed that only the expulsion of the Russian occupiers of Ukrainian land and the elimination of any opportunities for Russia to put pressure on Ukraine and the whole Europe will mean the restoration of ceasefire, security and peace. The General Staff of Ukraine informs that despite the so-called ceasefire regime declared by the Russian occupiers, during the past day the enemy launched 9 missile strikes, 3 air strikes and carried out 40 attacks from multiple rocket launchers. In particular, they targeted the civilian infrastructure, there were wounded and killed among the civilians. Over the past day, Ukrainian units repelled the attacks of the invaders in the areas of 16 settlements in the Donetsk and Lugansk regions. The next meeting of the contact group for the defense of Ukraine in the Rammstein format will be held on January 20th, reports Interfax Ukraine. German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht spoke with US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, discussing among other things the current military situation in Ukraine and how to coordinate further military support for Ukraine's defense through preparations for the upcoming meeting of the contact group. The so-called Rammstein format is a group of defense ministers and high-level officials from around 50 countries who, under the chairmanship of the US, coordinate international military aid for Ukraine. Ukraine's Human Rights Commissioner Dmytro Lubinets plans to meet his Russian counterpart Tatyana Moskalkova in Turkey in a few days, reports Ukrainska Pravda. Lubinets said that the main issue that will be discussed at the meeting is the release of Ukrainian prisoners of war. In addition, the Ukrainian side wants to discuss the release of civilians detained on the temporarily occupied territory of Ukraine by Russian forces whom Russia is holding hostage and refusing to release. The commissioner added that it is hard to predict how the discussion will go, but so far it looks like the Russian side is prepared to discuss this issue. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.